Yes, people, welcome to GND Media. I'm Ads. Thank you once again for taking the time to have a listen. If you could do us a favour and give the show a like and a share, that'd be great. It's great for the algorithm, gets more people involved. And I just really wanted to chime in around the Andy Burnham not mentioning climate change as of yet. Very surprising, disappointing. I know a lot of sort of experts and academics have they've really sort of been vocal about their disappointment, and I just wanted to give my perspectives because obviously Andy was the Manchester mayor for many years, and he did create, I believe he did actually create what was called the Manchester Green Summit, which I went to for a good few years. And, you know, he was someone that definitely talked the talk. I was in Manchester XR for a number of years and I came away from it, but I still went to the Manchester Green Summit. And I remember specifically a talk on something important, and Andy was there sort of chairing. And XR sort of rushed the stage back when that was kind of new, and were demanding, you know, pushing harder, pushing faster. And Andy basically stood there in front of the whole auditorium, thanked XR for what they do, and basically said, you know, this is almost a quote from what I can remember. We need people like you to push us politicians further and faster. So, you know, you take that and you think, okay, well, this guy knows the score. And then, you know, a few years later, a lot of what was predicted by the climate scientists is now here right in front of us. We're going through our umpteenth heat wave across Europe and the UK, wildfires here, there and everywhere. And now Andy is PM. But like I say, as of yet, there is silence on the subject of climate change. Now, Zach Polanski was pushing for an emergency COBRA meeting to deal with not only the wildfires, but the root causes of the wildfires, i.e. climate breakdown, climate change. And eventually, Andy called it. But what seems to have come out of that meeting is fairly trivial and frankly embarrassing measures to stop the sparks of wildfires. Now, obviously, watch previous videos. I'm not going to go over it again, but there's a reason why the spark of the fire is not the most important aspect of what's going on. It's the tinderbox conditions that the spark is igniting and woof. But yeah, as that put on the pressure, a COBRA meeting was called, and what's being sort of leaked or even might even be official now come out, is that they're saying things like banning disposable barbecues. Nothing about the root cause. Climate change seems to be the words that cannot be uttered. Very bizarre from what I've just told you about a few years back at the Green Manchester Green Summit. Very bizarre stuff. You know, I was speaking to someone the other day, and you know, it kind of felt intuitive to them where they were saying, well, maybe, you know, the climate stuff isn't a vote winner at the moment, especially with how right wing the country is. So maybe he's just trying to sort of get people on side. But the problem with that is, Andy has like 3 years to implement what he wants. If it was about the votes, if you didn't think that climate change was a vote winner, then he wouldn't be doing it at a time when there's a vote just around the corner. It's 3 years now. This is the time, if you are a true believer of climate breakdown and what needs to happen, this is the time that you implement those changes and those policies and those laws using every lever of the state possible, in order for, in 3 years' time, people who are climate skeptic, hesitant, or even out and out deniers, might see the benefits of the policies and the laws that are happening now. So now is the time to get them policies front and center, and hope that in 3 years' time the fruits of those policies will be visible to all. So now is the time. So I get what they meant, but it's not really thinking about it logically. So yes, I just wanted to sort of put my 2 pence in there to say I've heard from the horse's mouth that he believes climate change is real, it's dangerous, it's catastrophic. I've heard him praise XR. I've heard him asked to be pushed further by activists, and yet here we are, and it ain't on the agenda as of yet. So what I would say is, any good that Andy might be doing at the moment around cost of living, around what he's saying about the homeless crisis, about housing, about water, about transport, yeah, okay, great. But there's an existential crisis that's no longer on the horizon. It's actually in our faces now. And if you don't deal with this, which connects to everything, we spoke about this many times on GND, the climate crisis connects to all your causes. Yeah. Any cause that's out there will have a direct or indirect connection to climate breakdown. Once you understand and the science, when you understand and analyze correctly about politics and economics and migration and those sorts of things, it is there, either front and center in the background, whether you like it or not. If Andy does not figure out a way to get this on the agenda and to start using the levers of power to protect us and to protect the world, and bring this onto the national and international debate, then all his other stuff is by the by, because it's going to be irrelevant. What I will say is, I saw a video yesterday, Ed Miliband. Now, Ed Miliband is definitely somebody who understands. Definitely somebody who understands. The video was, it was okay. He was talking about how he's going to use his new role to bring the international bodies together. Great. But yeah, come on, Ed, put a bit of pressure on Andy there, and let's get this front and centre, and let's get things cracking, because this summer has shown us a glimpse of the future, and I'm sure we can all agree this is not the future that we want. All this talk about Mediterranean lifestyles, bullshit. Okay? Europe is on fire. There's your Mediterranean lifestyles at the moment. That's the future. Okay? We all need to pull together, especially the European Union. The states at the moment, they're done, they are definitely cooked for at least 3 years, or until the orange baboon departs. So forget them. There's some really progressive states that's trying to mitigate all the disaster and all the incredibly poor policies that the orange baboon and all his acolytes are trying to push. So let's hope they can at least contain the states until a more progressive future. But Europe really needs to get together now, and states like, countries like Canada, Australia, New Zealand, everybody that's got these that's got the wealth to do it. Not only do we need to help ourselves. We need to help people in the third world that are not going to have necessarily the funds to solve these sorts of issues. We need to work closely on an international scale with countries that really need help. We cannot abandon countries just because they are poor. Those that know, those that study history and economics, we know why these countries are poor. We have a historical intent here where we need to really help the countries that we have that we've put into the shit over centuries. So yeah, it's time to come together. So Ed, do your thing, man, on the international scale, but you need to get onto Andy because this ain't going well. I would have thought by now that he would have mentioned or at least uttered the words climate change. Not as of yet, but let's see. Okay, that's it. Just a quick video, guys. If you can put any pressure on MPs, councillors, whatever you connect, anybody that's progressive, to try and push this up the agenda so that it cannot be ignored. Because to live through this summer and sit back and go, yeah, no, it's fine. You gotta be pretty tapped at this point. So listen, keep safe, everyone. Keep hydrated. Try and keep cool. This heat wave will soon be over, but another will come. Okay, take care, guys.